I've got a problem with this Honda Accord in the gutter here where the roof panel meets this side panel. It leaks, and the reason I know that is the headliner, cardboard or fiberglass headliner underneath there, has started to warp down, and actually when it rains the water comes down, hits that towel, and creates a puddle about this big, which is a big problem. So I'm going to try to figure out why that's leaking, where that's leaking from, and see if we can get it fixed. And here we are on the inside. That's the middle there. That's the passenger side. And you get over to the driver's side and you can see where that's pushed down. So the fabric's okay. It's just this whole panel is coming down here because the water is getting in there. It must be a cardboard product in there and it's warping. So the first thing I'm going to do to get at this is pull this trim piece off, and it just snaps in. There we go. You can see the clips on there. And to pull this off, this is just rubber. You can get a little tool. I don't need to here. And it's just got some ribs on it and it snaps in there. So you pull it out in the middle and then it'll slide back and you can lift this off. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hole here and then a groove there and a little nub, little post. You put that in the groove, slide it in, and it locks it in place. And the same thing on the front. And here's how that looks. And this just snaps in that groove there. Now the first thing I noticed in pulling this off, that's nice and black, and then we're almost getting muddy down here. So that tells me that water is sitting in the last 8 inches of this, which isn't good. If there's water sitting in there, it's either got to evaporate or find some place to go. And looking in this gutter, we're at the front of the car here. You can see that's a problem on both ends. The water just runs down that gutter and hits a dam there at the front window. And the same thing at the back. I don't like that. It just runs into a dam here. There's nowhere for the water to go. But if the water can get up over this little lip here, you can see there's a channel running down the side, and it actually runs off into the trunk lid, and of course there's a gasket on the trunk lid, and then it runs out, down and out. And I think really that's the way the water should go. That's a poor design, having that dam up there at the end. But let's clean this up and see if we can see a crack or a bad seam where they put these two panels together. I don't know. You can see back here, looks like they use panel bond. I can feel it in here. But this is so dirty down here, and probably it's leaking right around here. Let's clean that up, see if we can figure that out. And you can see, if I spray in here, the water just sits in there. Where's that going to go? It's either got to evaporate, or if it finds a little crack, crease, break somewhere, that's where it's going to go. Not good. This panel bond all along here looks great. The only possibility I can see is around that pin, or else leaking at the window. Next thing I'm going to do is remove these straps on this one side, and hopefully that'll give me enough room to pull this panel down. I'll get some water running on there on the top side and hopefully see where it's leaking. These just pop out. And then you can just use a flathead screwdriver or a Torx bit to pull that out. One on the front, one on the back. And then that just pulls off. All right, I got that off and removed. And I'm going to try to show you. We've got a stain back up in there. I don't know if you can see that. It's basically at the top of the cardboard there. And then you can see it coming down here. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be inside the car, and with a light, I'm going to look underneath the headliner. The other person's going to be out here. We're going to fill this gutter with water, just like when it rains, except the trim piece won't be in there. And I'm going to see if I can see where that water's leaking in. Or even better, maybe we'd see a bubble up here or something. It all looks clean and nice up there, so this is a little tricky. You can see how nice that looks. I was hoping it'd be real obvious, but it looks nice. Must be just a little pinhole leak or something. It only fills up to here, where it dams up. Oh, that was outside?
Yes, sorry.
Oh. Pour some water up here, like starting right here.
Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit me from the outside.
The leak stain is actually right about here. Right about here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is make it rain. That's when it leaks. That's about the angle it sits. This car's outside all the time. So I'm going to go in the car. Another person's going to spray. We're going to see if we can make the leak appear. Okay. So, I was in there for 10 minutes. That was probably at least an inch of rain. And it's dry in there, other than a little condensation just like you get on the back window on the inside because of the cold water hitting the hot car. So I'm going to put that trim piece back in and see if that has anything to do with the leak. Okay, we got that back in. Now we'll see what happens. Okay, I did find a leak finally, and I think it's the back window. Almost right in the middle, a little off to the side, and what's happening is the water is running across the back of the headliner and then coming down, so it looked like it was coming from that gutter. So that's sealed good. I think it's a back window problem. I checked this out and pulled a little bit of the weather stripping out of here, and then we sprayed some water, and it's definitely leaking in there, so we've got a window leak here. And we might try to caulk this, and if that doesn't take care of it, you have to get the back window replaced. So I can put the interior back together, and I'm 90% sure it's a window leak. And the stain I showed you on the headliner, I think that's just condensation, and there's probably stains other places when the cold water was hitting the hot roof. Same thing with the window. I felt the inside of the window, and I could feel the condensation there. I think that's just a condensation stain. But the water running across there and the warping of the headliner, I think that's from water going in the middle there or somewhere around there, running across, and then down on the towel. Now I thought that we were going to have a problem with that gutter on the left, where the roof panel meets the side panel, but that was clean as a whistle and we have no leaks there. So that wasn't the problem. But if that is your problem, what you want to do is clean that up. And because it's under that trim piece, what I was going to do was take some of this Geocell 2300. 3M makes a product. You can get it all at the auto parts store. But it's a tri-polymer sealant. This is powerful stuff. This is what they use to install windows. They put a bead of this around, and it's strong, strong stuff. I also used it to repair a window that kept coming out on that Camry over there. And that was at least a year ago, and it's working great. So you want to get something like that, clean it up, put a bead of that in there and keep it low. Don't leave a ridge in there because you want to be able to get your molding back in there, and that should take care of it. But our problem was a leaky back window, and I don't have the tools to remove the glass and replace it. So I went to a local glass company and got their advice. They looked at it and said they could replace the glass for $350 or try to remove it without breaking it, hopefully, clean it up, prime it, and replace it for $200. And then I was thinking maybe I could remove the weather strip on the outside where the leak is, take some urethane caulk, which I already have, and get it in there, but it's so tight from the outside, I didn't know how I could do that with the tip of the urethane tube being so thick and not flexible. So I called another window company, and they said they would come out and look at it, and if they didn't do anything, there'd be no charge. And if they could caulk it, it'd be $70. All along I was thinking I could caulk it from the outside, but the technician that came out said, "Oh no, you don't caulk that from the outside to make that repair." And from the inside of the car, where the glass meets the pinch weld, you can see that the urethane bead was not done well. And actually I was told by one glass shop that looked at it that often new cars that are shipped, the windows get broken. And that may have been the case with this car because it's the original Honda glass. And they said when a dealer gets it and they make the repair, they don't always get a good consistent bead, which I think is the problem here. Plus, the person that owns this car has owned it since it was brand new, and they said the glass has never been broken and replaced. Anyways, the technician pulled the headliner down a little bit, ran a bead of urethane across where the glass meets the pinch weld, and said, "There you go. You won't have any more problems with that." It only took him 5 or 6 minutes to do that. Sure was simple and obviously something I could have easily done or anybody else. So now you know, and now I know, and I hope this will save you time and money if you have to make a glass or roof repair on your car. If this video was a help to you, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and I look forward to helping you with other projects online.